Hey guys, welcome back to Colin Connection. I'm Will, and as you can see, we're looking a little bit different now. We've made a two-man panel here. The Fossil over there in Patterson Lakes. How you going today, Foss?
Oh, very good, William. Very good. I'll tell you what, she was a bit shaky early there, Will, but we ended up getting the four. So
Yeah.
we'll be definitely playing finals. And I think, like most Collingwood supporters, I think they'd be relieved, Will. They got away a bit and then, they got back into the game West Coast, but we got the 4 points, Will, and that was the main thing.
Oh, I was more focusing on you, Fossil, because you took away my start there. I said, did you want to start the show yourself? No, you throw it to me as always. So that's all right. I'm glad I can just see your head. So that's a good start there. Yes, guys, the Pies. We are recording this 8 o'clock, so about an hour after the game's finished, and Fossil, we're locked into the top 10. So pretty good effort considering the amount of outs we had going over to West Coast, and didn't think it'd be an easy game, but yeah, so it looked very high scoring. The Pies 17-15, 117, knocking off the Eagles 15-8, 98, 19 points. Fossil. But before we get into all of that, just a couple of things. Firstly, nice to see the hat. Obviously, that hasn't sold yet online, or the Collingwood Football Club haven't purchased it. So what's happening there?
Well, I haven't bed you down there yet, Will, but on the hats for us, mate. She started off at 95 bucks, and I think she's up to about 1,300, Will. So we'll just wait and see, and we'll see what the offer is, and then I might have to go down and see McRae and see what he reckons.
Fair enough, fair enough. And yeah, I can't really see your top. You have to get a booster seat or something. But are you wearing the away jersey, or what are you wearing right now?
No, just got a nice warm jacket, a black one, William, and me Collingwood scarf and that. Yeah, she's a bit cool, buddy, so I thought I'd better keep warm. But
You said
yeah,
away
no,
jersey.
it's
You
good.
said away jersey for away games, and the home for
I
home. You
know,
got to keep
I
keep to
know.
what you say, Fossil. That's the main
I
thing.
know that, William, but she's in the wash, mate. It got very dirty last week,
Uh,
so
yeah,
she's in the wash. But
you threw
anyhow,
you threw you threw it outside after that Cats game. So
yeah, yeah. But anyway, it was a great win by the boys, Will, and a bit shaky at the start, but I think once they settled down a bit, I think they spread us a fair bit in the first quarter with their quick ball movement. But very high scoring first quarter, William. 12 goals kicked for the quarter. That doesn't happen very.
Sorry, yeah, no. We'll get to the game. We're meant to have a bit of back and forth here, Fossil, before we get. I know you're excited. I'm very excited too, but just a bit of back and forth before you
All right.
jump in
Well,
everything. So my last one, just before, and then I'll let you
yeah. All
loose.
right.
All
Well,
right.
let it rip.
Just
Yeah,
before we
let it rip.
do, was we got a comment last week in, all right, and I told you I had one coming for you. Paula knows. Thanks for sending this in. He said. Werribee isn't that bad, Fossil, and you live close enough to Frankston and Dandenong. So, good work, fellas. Go Pies, Fossils. So, there you go. What do you say to that?
Oh, I don't care, William. Patterson Lakes is Patterson Lakes, mate. It's the best suburb in Melbourne. Frank is just down the
That's
road.
debatable. That's very debatable. But
Ranga's
anyway,
just down the road, and then wherever you got off was crossing where Luke lives. So nothing, as long as you married to the pies, that's fine, mate. But Paddo's a magnificent spot.
Paul
William?
notes he's been a follower from us from the start, Fossils. So thanks for that,
No, he's a
Paul.
good man. He's a good man, but he'll be very
Danny
happy.
Nong and Frankston, beautiful guys for the kids. You can go walking at night time. You won't find any issues according to Fossils. So,
No, they've cleaned it up. They just come down to the top of
yeah,
Patterson
right.
Lakes, and I'll show them the safe places, Will. There's no
Yeah.
worries at all.
All right, okay. Now, guys, I'll release the fossil. Like I said, Pies 117, Eagles 98. A huge win because it locks us in the top 10. Carlton St Kilda are currently playing, but now that means absolutely nothing. And also the Gold Coast, that 10-game winning streak, they knocked the Giants officially off. So pretty much Pies are done now. We're locked in. It's very exciting times. And considering all the players out, Fossil, it was a pretty good effort.
Yeah, no, it was a very good. Well, I think our average age we before today was about 30, and I think we dropped down to about 26 with all the young ones playing. But it's good to see. Like they all did their little bit. I think young Howes and Punch and them were probably pretty daunting going. I think they ended up what it was a 40 odd thousand Will was it they had there to
Yeah,
play
I
in front
didn't
of them.
see the official one. I tried to find that before, but the Eagles fans, I'll give them credit. They rock up regardless of
Oh
how their
yeah.
team's going. So 40, 45, let's call it, whatever it was.
Yeah, I thought, I thought they did pretty well. Yeah, it'll be a pretty daunting task. And, young Howe's playing his first game, but I think, once, especially in the second half, well, I think Billy Frampton led from the front, and he settled them down a bit. And I thought they were quite good. They didn't have high possessions, Will, but they got in there and blocked and they punched the ball away and they cleared the path for a few of the other players. But I think that'll just come, the more games they get under their belt, a bit more confidence, Will. Get back in front of the Pies army, and I'm sure that'll give them a lift. But it was good to see, the 4 or 5 young ones, and they all did their little bits and pieces. And that's all you want as a team, William.
No, exactly. It was what we were a bit nervous about. And a lot of players, a lot of changes, 5 changes for the game. But yeah, that experience. I'll jump forward a bit. I was going to mention just a couple of players we had out, but very happy to get the result. But here's a short list, a couple of average players, Fossil that we were missing. Lipinski, DeGoey, Maynard, Elliott, Pendles, Perryman, Steen, Bobby Hill, Darcy Moore, and Jeremy Howe, just to name a couple of Fossils. So not a bad little effort there in the end by the boys.
Yeah, I think all those blokes to get a game in any other team in the comp too, William, I tell you. So
Almost.
no, they did very well, William. They did well with those players missing.
Yeah, exactly. And well, like we said, so my first thoughts, we'll jump there, Fossil. High scoring contest, and yeah, I think very daunting, like you said, for Howes playing, but he was playing against some other young key forwards, and I just think a couple like not his fault at the start. Shanahan had a clear run at it and easy hit up marks. That's exactly what you want as a full forward. So not great. The Eagles just getting away and getting a goal nice and early. But yeah, high scoring game and a few contests. I think that Howes and Puncher, they just sort of sat back. Billy Frampton must have felt like he was on 3 players at some of those aerial contests because he was doing everything, Billy, back there. But yeah, very high scoring. The defense was getting chopped up by both sides. I know we were missing a few players, but pretty much whoever got the center clearance and got the ball rolling forward, they were just able to, find those easy targets. And the Pies, we just, yeah, seemed to find a few numbers. Schulte, he had the scoreboard early, and yeah, it just seemed like it was going to be an absolute shootout, and that's exactly what we got in the end. So yeah, massive effort by the boys, like we've said, but. Yeah, I was a bit concerned. We got out to that nice, comfortable lead, Fossil with 33 points, but like they've done to us all season, they don't like to let us relax a little bit. So yeah, 33 points up, and then we just sort of fell asleep. We left the door open, and the Eagles piled on 4 goals each side of 3/4 time. So it's just disappointing because we seemed like we were in control. We were really on top of things, and the Eagles actually started to get a bit frustrated. Elliot Yeo and Harley Reid. I'll give Reid credit considering he was injured. He played a pretty damn good game considering, but they were starting to give away stupid free kicks, and you thought, all right, we're about to break this game open, and then they just, let them get the Harley Reid at the back of the pack. No one's goal side. That just shouldn't happen. And then that late goal again, they, just gave them that boost. And then when they got back within 11, I thought, oh God, here we go. It's going to be game on, Fossil. But credit to the boys. They ran it out and got the all-important win in the end. So, yeah, good effort.
Yeah, it was a good effort. Well, yeah, that was a good score too, William. 17-15. I think after half time we kicked 7-10 to 6-3. So they had plenty of opportunities. But like you said, they like to keep the Fossil on his toes, I'm telling you. Well, they do it all the bloody
Not
time.
let your heart rest a little bit, Fossil. Yeah.
Well, you think they would, wouldn't you? I'm nearly 70, Will, so you reckon they'd look after the Fossil a bit. But anyway, we got the 4 points, William, and that's the main thing.
Exactly. We'll go through some game highlights, Fossil, and like I said, high scoring was pretty much the go early. 6 goals apiece was in the first quarter. We looked like we were going to break away, but then the Eagles kicked a couple late ones, and yeah, it just became, that shootout. Both teams scoring at will, and I thought early, who the hell was on Tim Kelly because he was also running with Nick Dacos at one point, but he was just everywhere, and then he got forward and kicked a goal on us. And I thought, they're trying to obviously negate Reid, and I think Elliot Yeo was getting a lot of attention from Ed Allen early. I know they're very dangerous players, but I thought more so Anderson and Long, they should have gone really head to head with Yeo, and then Ed Allen maybe. He eventually did get switched to Kelly, but he was just running rings around us early, Fossil, and was, their most damaging player going through the center of the ground.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it looked like early, Will. I think, like you said, I think we were trying to attack more. and like you said, probably didn't pay him enough respect. But once he started doing a bit of damage, I think that's when they did swing him around a bit because they had Joshy in there and Macquarie in there, and I think they realised, if they can get it out the centre and get it down quickly, both forward lines were, especially early, were pretty well on top. I tell you what, they've got some good young kids, those bloody West Coast. They're bloody tall boys, and
Well,
and they spread out defence. So, but no, I thought they fought back well, William.
I'd like to have some of those tools, Fossil. The problem is the Pies don't like high picks and trying to draft these guys in. So I think like Richmond, the Eagles, they're building nicely. They're going to be a pretty hard team in a couple of years' time if they can keep that core group together. But yeah, like you said, it's those tall players don't get any shorter, and hopefully the likes of Howes and Puncher's been awesome. That late that late grab he had where he marked and he virtually got tunneled. I think it was Harley Reid or Yo. I think it was Reid maybe. Yeah, he puts his body on the line, Puncher. He's really one to go for the hard ball, and he's not a bad kick when he gets his opportunity. So awesome job there. With that second quarter, a lot of frustration was. I think the Eagles had 14 inside 50s and they kicked 8-goal-1. And I was meant to mention this earlier. I just knew after last week, I think at one point they were 4 goals 18 against Richmond Fossil, and then I just knew they'll come out and they'll kick straight against the Pies, and of course that's what happened early. So as the game went on, they got a little bit more inaccurate, but yeah, just that transition. So our pressure forwards, that's what we build our game upon, and we are missing a few players, but just how easily West Coast. This is more on the midfielders. They just started to get the ball moving, overlapping hand passes, and they were just going through at will. So that the midfield on their defensive side were absolutely getting killed, and they have some good players, but they've also got a lot of young players. So it just shows that if you're not switched on and if you're lacking defensively, they just got through easy targets, easy key. They virtually went through sometimes without not anyone touching their player, and it's just not good enough when you're trying to keep the pressure on. And like I said, I don't really blame the defenders for everything because when the ball's coming in like that, it's a forwards picnic. So anyway, just a little bit of frustration, but then to our credit, the 5 minutes to go in the second quarter. We started to get back in the game. We got the scores level, and then the Pies really locked it in. Schultze, Harrison, little Hayes, who first came back in a long time, and Sullivan, they started to really bring the pressure and tackle them, keep the ball inside 50. And then even though we nearly stuffed it up, McStay got on the end of another one, and we took that 1 goal lead in the half time. But thanks to all that pressure and very lucky they missed a goal, Swaddling. Your boy tried to kick the ball like a ninja out of the air and nearly cost us a goal. So I'm sure McRae might have pulled him aside and said, "Yeah, don't try and do that ever again." But anyway, they fought back the boys and got a kick up at half time.
That was right. Well, I thought one of the other highlights too was Silchi. I think he ended up kicking 3-4. Well, he had 11 disposals, 7 tackles. I think he had, I can't remember, I'm not quite sure, it was either 8 or 9 score involvements. And for a small forward, I thought he was absolutely magnificent, and he was showing the way and, he gets in there and tackles hard and just never gives up. And I think hopefully that'll rub off on the younger players too, Will, because like you said, we were found wanting a little bit, but at least we had a leg speed there with those younger fellas. So hopefully, they stick with them and get a few games together. I know there's only a couple left, but especially for next year because they're going to be the future. But so I thought Schultz was excellent, William.
Yeah, you always tell me he reminds you of a young Fossil back in the day. So yeah, he's short, he's got the black hair, Fossil, a bit of a tan. So yeah, pretty much fits the bill. But awesome work by our little full forward. I did have a note for him later, but in the second half, like I said earlier, we got out to that 33-point lead. We started to really get on top in the contest, and defensively, they started to really stand up. Houston, a couple of big plays along with Quaynar. So yeah, those boys really started to, take on the responsibility and show the young fellas, intercept marking. They just didn't let anything get through pretty much the half forward line for a long time there. And that's when our midfielders and forwards started piling on the goals. So like I said, I thought we were gonna pretty much pick up from there, run away with it, off a 9-day break. So, I had confidence that we were going to finish off the game strongly, but then we only slipped for about what, 5 minutes of football, and then they kick four goals either side of three-quarter time, like I said. So those little bits that we just get wrong at times. And look back at the Freo game earlier in the year, the Sydney game. That's when they've killed us, when they have a hot 3 minutes and then kick three goals, and then can not score for the next half an hour, but it's the damage that they do in that time. So hopefully, like I said, a learning curve, but at the end, Fossil, pretty much goal for goal. I don't know what Will Hayes was doing when he had the ball nearly in the goal square, and you thought, oh, he's going to finally kick the sealer. And my God, there was no awareness there, Fossil. I don't know if
Exactly
you can
right. No.
explain that one, but geez.
No, I feel a bit sorry for the young fella, but like you said, Will, but in that third quarter where we kicked 5 goals, six, and we owned the ball, we could have probably kicked, seven or eight. It was 5-6, 36 to, I think they kicked 3-1, 19 or something.
Yeah.
And we'd had a lot of the pill and we could have had it really well and truly cleaned up by then. But, the Eagles kept at us. But, like I said, we had a pretty good lead, and then the last quarter was 3-2 to 2-4. So yeah, so after half time we kicked 7-10 to 6-3. So we had plenty of chances, and we probably should have won by 30 or 40, Will, but that's the way football goes. If you don't make the most of your opportunities.
Yes, unfortunately, but they got the result, Fossil, so we won't harp on about it. So well done, the Pies. We're through, and we had hopefully a couple of recruits. I did see a report earlier that Jeremy Howe might be pushing for a round 24 return against the Lions, Fossil. So that's a big boost, and they might persist with the likes of Howes and Howe's puncher, and obviously helping out Billy next week against the Hawks. They're obviously a tough opposition, but yeah, we'll see what
Mm.
happens there. Negatives. So I did boost this fella up, Fossil, and like you do to Josh Dacos, you can give him you can jinx him a little bit, but Charlie West. I don't know if you've seen him yet, Fossil, but he looked like he went out and had a run around the paddock this afternoon. So I know he's only young, but after the Geelong game, I boosted him up and I did a post on our page, Flag Pies. So if you haven't checked it out, go have a look. But that didn't really show for tonight. He only had the two touches, one mark, and two tackles, no score, obviously. So yeah, he was just missing for a long time tonight, Foss, unfortunately. And I'll get to the VFL chat soon, but Jack Buller, he had a good game, and I think they'll persist with West, but yeah, he had a pretty bad night in the end, little Westy.
Yeah, do you think William at half time they might have thought of swinging him around? Him and Howes maybe to get
Yeah,
him
I
into the
know.
game?
I was messaging you. I know you don't know how to really text, but I was messaging you and saying that, and Daniel, with both of them, really, actually, West and the VFL at times has gone back to help out. And Howes, he was sort of getting found out. So maybe they wanted to, persist with Howes and just get him that confidence to say, okay. And he was all right. As the game went on, he kind of looked a bit more comfortable. It was just those aerial contests. He wasn't jumping. And if your man goes, Fossil, I know you're the short brigade, you're the Lockie Schultz, but if your man goes, you have to go with him because yeah, they were just starting to clunk him. They're young fellas too, Shanahan and Williams. They were really getting on top, and Duff Tyler, I think his name is. He missed a few chances to goal as well. So, like you said, Eagles have heaps of these young. Good tools coming through, but yeah, hopefully Howes just learns his lesson from that. And they could have made a switch, but in the end, we got the result done, Fossils. So we'll see. They might look at that for next week. You never know against the Hawks. But anyway, some positives, Fossil, out of the game.
Yeah, no, well, like I said, I think Lockie Schultz, he was a big positive with him. I just like the way he goes about it. He kicked 3 goals for, like I said, 11 disposals. He couldn't have done any more. And I'm just hoping that the young blokes, take a leaf out of his book, and when he wasn't going for the ball, Will, he just seemed to know where he get his body in the right spot. And I think a couple of times there he blocked his player out or a taller player out and McStay took a couple of grabs. So I'm just hoping the young ones sort of take that on board with him, and that's where they've got to learn from the more experienced players. But I just thought he was absolutely magnificent.
Yeah, no, young Schultz, he does pretty well. We missed him for a long time there, Foss, and hard to come back last week against the Cats. But I tell you what, maybe when Jamie Elliott's in the side, that he's our lead out, full forward from the goal square. And Jamie Elliott, as we know, got a good leap on him, and he's a great set shot. But I tell you what, Schultz, he's got a bit of swing about him too, Foss, and he doesn't mind climbing up there. So he's really, surprised me actually by his aerial ability this year. Like he's really, taken that. Maybe it's just he's got the green light to do it now, but yeah, he's really, competing in the air and he's not afraid to jump at anything. And, that's why McRae put him down forward and said, no, you're going to be our one out target. And the Eagles didn't drop someone in front of him. So up until the last quarter, they popped it on his head and, being a short fella, not much you can do there. But when he had the ball at ground level, very, very dangerous. So awesome work there by Schultzy. Fossil, we'll get to your votes for this one, the 3-2-1.
Well, very hard, William. I'll tell you what, mate, it was hard. I could have thrown 6 or 7 in there, but I think for a bloke that has 39 disposals and 18 handballs, William, I think the little master, you got to give him the three. But I thought I couldn't get Chilchie into him. I thought Cameron was absolutely magnificent again, Will. He got hurt there a couple of times, but he just sort of got up and kept going. And then he went back and helped out the defence. And I had to give one to Frampton, William. I thought, he held that back line together with all those players missing. And so I gave him one, and apologies to Schultz and a few of the other guys, but I just couldn't fit them all in. So Dacos 3, Cameron 2, and Frampton 1, Will.
Oh, you weren't wrong. There's a few, even McStay early, like he was really, keeping us in the contest. And his set shot, they say he's the best key forward in the league, and you can see why. He looked very comfortable. That other one from a tough angle hit the post. So yeah, no, McStay was up there too for me, except I actually gave your boy, Josh Dacos, 35 touches, but it was just his decision making at time when the pressure was really on. He was the one that scooped it up, 1-2 hand passes along the boundary line, and then he'd hit that next target that, just relieves the pressure, gets our ball moving forward a bit more and field positioning. So yeah, no, Joshy had a great game for me. Yeah, very, very tough to pick between the brothers, but yeah, Nick Dacos, yeah, I gave him the 2 votes. What did he have? He only 17 contested possessions, they 39, 12 score involvements, 10 clearances, and tell you what, when the game's on the line, Fossil, we were 10 points down. You're 50 meters out and he absolutely flushes it just to get the boot. He turns to the crowd, he gets pumped up. So he's all class, Nick. And yeah, it'd be interesting what they do on Brownlow night, but I'd be surprised if he wasn't at least getting 2 votes. And the 1 vote, Lockie Schultz, your mate. 11 touches, 7 tackles, 3 goals, 4. He could have had an absolute day out, Fossil, but no, awesome effort there by our boy Schultzy, and he'll be our full forward, I think, for the rest of the season. So yeah, hopefully he can
Yeah,
get the job done a little bit more accurately. But yeah, hell of an
yeah.
effort by him anyway. So
Well, it was
and Nick,
magnificent.
yeah, now
Yeah,
Nick
sorry, Will.
Dacos, I was just going to say Nick Dacos, guys, no surprise. He's number one. We won't even worry about the rest at this point until the end of the season. And just with our competition, guys, so the $70 was up for grabs. I will say, Fossil, there was a winner. However, as we say when we do the post each week, that you have to be following our page flag pies. That's where we share the competition. And I think we had 55 odd comments this week, Fossil. But yeah, just unfortunately for the guy, and we do feel bad genuinely doing it, but it's not really fair on the rest of the people guessing that, it's pretty much there. You just got to give us your guess and follow the page, and then, you win the vouchers. So anyway, so what we decided, Fossil, and well, mainly myself, is that we're going to boost it up next week to $90 against the Hawks. So fingers crossed for
Yeah,
everyone there. And I think we had another lady, Joanne, guess, and she was 1 disposal off, which I think is pretty stiff. That Nick Dacos and Ed Allen, 59 between them, and the 6 goals for the other fellas. So yeah, pretty stiff. But best of luck
yeah,
next week, guys, and get involved. Tell your friends, and make sure you give us a like and follow on that page. So cheers for that. And the VFL chat, Fossil. So. The boys went down by 1 point to the Bombers, which wasn't a bad effort, 10-15, 75 to 11-8, 74, considering all the players that were missing. And not many standouts except Jack Buller, 16 touches, 7 marks, 4 goals. Harrison Coe, 22 touches, 18 hitouts, 8 clearances. And pretty easy question coming up here, Fossil, but Ryan had another 25 touches, but you think that's curtains on his Collingwood career and maybe his AFL career in total? Because it's hard to think how he didn't get selected in that team tonight.
yeah. Well, I thought it would have been a dead set cert to come in, William, but Yeah, well, it depends who we get back to. Well, and I don't think we had any injuries, so I don't know what they're going to do next week unless they can find a matchup for him. But yeah, it makes it tough. I feel sorry for the young fella because he's been really, really good. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see which way they go. Maybe they'll have a look at the side, will it? He might come in for somebody. I'm not quite sure, but I thought he would have been in that side that played today for sure.
Well, what do you
Very
think?
unlucky.
A player they're comparing him to, Lockie Sullivan, he did get that goal early, but 13 touches, 4 tackles. I didn't see him for big patches of the game, little hand passes and moved his way through. It's his first game in a long time, so to be fair, it's hard to step it up that level. And he looked okay, especially early, but yeah, the likes of Sullivan, you're probably going to say depends who's available, but based upon that, does Ryan come in, or do you think that's pretty much curtains done?
No, I'd like to say I reckon he might be still a chance. Well, he's got a bit of pace, and like you said, he plays down back, and I don't know, side bottom Sullivan and these sort of blokes. I don't know whether side he'll play next week or they give him a spell and Pendles comes back in. I'm not quite sure, but I'd like to see him get a chance. But if he doesn't, it could be good night nurse, and he could probably get picked up somewhere else. But I just thought he deserved a chance to play today. But they know better than me, so we'll wait and see what happens.
Yeah, well, we're all couch experts, as we say, Fossil, but just interesting there with Side. He seems like he's done this in his last, 5, 6 games. He can't find him early in the first quarter. Other than that, that dead set throw he did about 2 meters out. Very lucky to rush the ball in the end, but 12 touches, but as the game went on, when it opens up a bit, that's when he looks like he's starting to really take over. He did a good couple of things on the wing, but we know that he's probably coming to the end of his career, but geez, he was very quiet up until that point. Sorry, and I just want to mention quickly before we move on, the Jack Crisp, have been critical and he hasn't quite been at his best, but in that fourth quarter, they chucked him in the middle. He got a couple of big clearances. He helped win the ball back on the wing a couple of times. So yeah, he had a big last quarter and a big impact on the game, especially late Fossils. So just had to mention that before we move on. So yeah.
Yeah. And I thought McCreary's all right too, Will.
Yeah, a
He's
bit of
a like
pressure. Yeah,
he's never a big possession getter, but he puts pressure on, and he went in there a couple of times and he burst out the middle, and I thought he was okay too. But anyway, we'll just have to wait and see what happens next week.
exactly. All right, Fossil, we'll skip through these. We'll do our quick fire questions, something we'll bring into our episodes just to finish off, Fossil. I put up a post on Facebook, whether you got to have a look at that on Flag Pies Fossil, but I was comparing our 2010 Premiership side to our 2023 Premiership side. And you've got Pendlebury and Sidebottom, those boys we just talked about, still going. So as they were on grand final day, I think it was a 19-year-old side bottom and Pendles would be a couple of years older. And then you've got 2023, an older Pendlebury and older side bottom, as you know. If I had to compare Fossil, who are you taking in that game head to head and how much? What's the margin?
Yeah, but we had the early team. We had Cloak and Dawes, didn't we? The centre half forward
We
and
did.
four
Yeah.
forwards, mate. They would have won by 27 points, William.
Good number too. Good number. I know where you got
Yeah,
that from,
27. Yeah, no, they would have beaten them, William. They had a really good side, magnificent side. And like I said, the good teams have two power forwards, William, and they had those two. And ever since then, I don't think we've
well,
had
we,
two the
we did
same.
we did have that in 23. We had Brody Myercheck and Billy Frampton Fossil. They were our forwards.
You reckon they were better than bloody those
No,
two? Mate, you
I'm not
kidding me?
saying they're better fossils. A bit of joke.
Well, I'm telling
Relax.
you, Cloak and Dawes, they were strong, William, and they were really
Yeah.
good marks. And,
Yeah.
they had to have two really good T defenders on those two players, and then it opened up for the. Does Didak playing then, William?
Oh,
Didak?
for
Did you
God's
see
sake!
him?
If you don't know this, I'm not even gonna. Let's just cut it there because we're gonna run out of time here. Second
Yeah, no,
question I
that,
had for you was
yeah.
yeah, okay, 27 points, 2010. I got a lot of feedback actually to compare the 1990 team. I was a pea in
Yep.
the ocean at the time, Fossil, so I'm going to do a comparison this week coming because everyone's been asking for it. So it's going to
All
be
right.
1990 versus 2010. Anyway, we'll save that for next week. A couple of off-season targets. Apparently, the Pies are targeting everybody, as we know. It comes to this point of every season, the names
They
start
always
popping
do.
up. So just yay or nay, Fossil. Three quick ones here. Lockie Neal.
No,
Yeah, get stuffed. You know what you're talking about. Are you being serious or you say
Yeah,
yay?
well, I've got a question for you.
No,
You
no,
fire
no,
away
no,
and then
no, no, no. This is my question. No, no, this isn't your time. Hold on. So, Lockie Neal, you're saying no.
no.
Oh, for God's sake. All right. We don't have enough time to debate that. But anyway, I reckon he's coming to the Pies Fossil. You got rock in your heads tonight. So, rocks in
All
your head,
right.
should say. All right. Jake Stringer, the package.
No way, no. William, see you
He's
later.
an
If he's,
ex-Essendon player. Of course, you'd love
I don't
that.
give a stuff there. That's one reason why. No way, no, William.
All
We've got
right.
a lot of young kids. He's been a good footballer, William, but no way, no.
I think he's
We
kicked
want him at
four.
the Pies.
I think he's kicked 40 odd goals this year, Fossil. So not a bad return.
Yeah, that's not
Last
bad.
one.
He
We're
kicked
going to run
seven
out of
in one
time.
game.
Shut up for a
7 in 1
second.
game.
I know, but he's still kicked 40. That's not anyway.
Yeah,
The
I
last
know.
one. So you've said no to Neil, no to Stringer, Jesse Hogan.
No, don't need him.
All right, go to your questions. That was a
Righto.
fail.
Now, listen to me, William, and listen
Oh, we're
carefully.
listening. We
If
have
you
to.
were the recruiting manager and you could only pick two players to come to the club out of Neil, Kelshadier, and Butters, who would you take?
Only pick two.
Yeah, you can only pick two out the three for next year. Who would you pick?
Well, I can tell you what's likely to happen, Fossil, is that it'd be Neil and one of the other two. Like I think we've got Neil. I don't want to go too early with that, but I think we've got Lockie Neil. So it's pretty much a choice between Cal Shadir and Butters.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
I asked you the
Yeah. No,
question.
you
If
asked
you
me
were
the question.
taking
Well, okay, if I could just take either of them, then I reckon that
no, two out of the
yes, I
three.
know. I'm saying if we get Neil and Butters along with Dacos, that midfield is unbelievable. We do get Neil Foster. We don't have to trade for him, so you're not going to get Kalshadir and Butters. I know I've done posts about this. They're all hypothetical questions, but we're not going to get Deer and Butters for trade value. I don't know unless we're going to give up a player that we're not expecting to. But I reckon lock him in, and for the future, I'd love Kelshadia because I think along with the likes of, with our forwards at the moment, and especially he'd learn off McStay, Membry. We do have West, obviously up and coming, and Buller's, at the moment, people think he's more of a C grader. So a lot of development with him, but I'd probably say I love Butters. I'd take Butters Fossil. I just don't think it's going to happen. So I'm going to say Lockie Neal and Kelshadia, but that's only saying that we're probably not going to get Butters, But if we can get Butters, then I'd say, yep, we'll take Butters. We'll take. I think Neil's coming, so let's just say Butters and Deer Fossil, but we're not going to be able to trade for both of them. So yeah.
All right,
Anyway,
fair enough. Fair enough.
long-winded answer, but that's where I stand pretty much.
All right, that's fair enough. Now listen, tell me how many mate go in the twos? Podaski, did he do anything?
One goal, pretty quiet.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so.
Mm, mm.
Not a lot, like I said, those players I mentioned were pretty much our best. Your mate Prindable, who you said had played 10 plus games this year, he was good. He 15 touches and 7 tackles, I think. So good amount of pressure, but just Swaddling's been absolutely incredible. Kicked another goal today, Fossil, and I don't think he's lost a game, Swaddling. I think he's 6-0 or whatever he's done now, and he's pretty much kicking a goal a game. So just keep him in the
Yeah,
side and we win the flag this year, Fossil. So,
yeah, just keep him on the bench. We won't give a stuff if he's number five
on
as
the
long as he
bench,
gets,
on the
as long as
bench.
he did well, he can start there. Then come on, as long as he, well,
Jesus.
he's,
Seeing how good he's been playing, I'd even catch up with
yeah,
his
no, he's very. Bloody told you that
tonight.
ages ago.
14 touches, a goal, 2 marks, 2 tackles. Yeah, he does his role. He does it every week. So, yeah, but
Yeah, well, I
he,
told you that ages ago, and you didn't even know who he bloody was.
oh,
I said, you wait till you see my boy come in,
I'm
William.
so glad we have these panels side by side now because I usually get base reactions from Fossil every week and have to tell him to hold his horses or wait. So now everyone can see your Fossil, but he always says this crap. I tell him about actual players, and then yeah, you act like you know who they are. You didn't even know who Bo McCreary was when we got him from South Australia. You don't know any of these guys, so
I know
you
them
like
all
to
off
claim
by
them
heart,
as soon as they're
William.
stars or look like they're going to be stars. You claim them.
Yeah, he's another one of my boys. I'm telling you,
Oh,
mate.
for,
But
yeah, yeah. Anyone
him and
decent. You picked Nick Dacos the day he was born, Fossil. You said, oh, that's going to be a future Hall of Famer, a Brownlow medalist, Premiership star. Yeah, yeah, I'm pretty sure Pretty sure that's what you said back in the day.
Yeah,
So,
exactly, exactly. Anyway,
all
anyway, we'll
right.
see what happens.
All right, let's stop crapping on. So, yeah, the Hawks next week, Fossil. So, a 67-point thumping by the Lions, and that's great news for us because they're going to be very fired up. So, how do you think that? I think it's Saturday night, 7:40, so it's going to be a big one. And last time we should have bloody won. We're 13 points up with a couple of minutes to go and somehow drew it. So, how are you feeling? Anything we can do, or do we just have to play better than them pretty much to get the
Well, we're
job
just
done?
going to play better than William, and I think we're going to be in for a very wet week, William. So I don't know what it's going to be like
That might help us a
on
little
the
bit.
Saturday. Yeah, apparently it's supposed to
Although they
bucket down
played,
all week.
I'll say, Collingwood people remember they absolutely torched us. I think it was last year in the wet. They won by about 10 goals, and we saw what they did to Carlton in torrential rain about 3 or 4 weeks ago. They smashed them by 10 goals. So maybe we don't pray for the rain this week, Fossil. Maybe,
Yeah,
you know,
no, I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be very tough for him, especially off the rebound. Like sides like that don't often lose a couple in a row, but you never know, William.
yeah, yeah.
We just need to get out there and they get their game done. You just don't know.
Well, the team
You
that
don't
thumped them,
know.
Brisbane, they came off a 70-point loss and then, come out and win by nearly 70. But that's sort of the game, the way the AFL is these days, Fossil. You can have one bad week and then you look completely different a week later. But they should, hopefully, depends on so-called Pendlebury was injured. I don't know how accurate that is, but yeah, we'll hopefully get Pendle's back, and maybe some others next week, Fossil. But anyway, until then, thanks guys, and we'll catch us all next week. We're in the top 10. We're locked in, Fossil. So yeah, it's obviously a good couple of weeks to come for the Pie. So anyway,
Yeah.
go Pies. Thanks, guys.
Go Pies. Go Pies. See you. Bye.
See you, mate.